inside the soul of a human being, there is a divine light and life from God. Therefore, every human being has a spiritual body comprising divine light and life. This physical body is just the vehicle in which this dwells. But in Christianity, what I like about Christianity is that Christianity speaks about the XP monogram, which is the solar monogram, and the PCN monogram, IHS. If you combine the two, they give you the name Christ, which means Christ is not an individual sitting somewhere. Christ is inside all of us. Therefore, there is no person who is not a Christian. But some people have arrogated the name Christ to themselves. They talk about Christians and non-Christians. There's nothing like that. Even the Muslims are Christians, the Hindus are Christians, the Buddhists are Christians, because the Christ dwelleth in all of us. So let's return to the roots and we'll have peace. But I also advocate what we are saying about Litsema, because today South Africa is said to have the best constitution. But what is best in it? That constitution promotes individualism. And individualism is divisive. The constitution should talk about human and people's rights. Because no man is an island. But this constitution makes us little islands, and that's why there are all these conflicts. But thank you very much for highlighting this. So it means we must not have human rights, we must have human and people's rights. Because what is at the center is the people, not the individuals. Dr. Sibisi, over to you. Oh, I'm sorry. Where our culture is the suppression of women. I don't see her.
Okay, thank you so very much. I think so far we are managing our time well. So far, we are still going to have a session for questions so that we can give everybody an opportunity to ask questions. Something that maybe I didn't mention initially. I'm the Secretary General of the Southern African Interfaith Council, where in that institution or in an organization, we promote religious tolerance towards acceptance. We are saying we are all human beings, we coexist from different religions, but let's learn to work and tolerate. If we can't accept each other, tolerate each other and respect each religion, because it matters to the people of that religion. That's what we do. And then another thing that I also want to mention is the issue that that religion, they also ensure that they assist the parolees that are coming to our community for them to settle well. Then we assist them on the spiritual point of view for them to be accepted in their communities. And also, we also have a project of Masupazila wherein we develop youth on their spiritual journey and the like, in short. So today's topic is religion and civility. My question that I want to pose to you is the religious sector doing enough towards civility? Amongst ourselves, we as the religious, as the interfaith leaders or as the religious leaders, are we doing enough to can tolerate each other? Are we impacting enough in our society? Are we civil enough towards each other, towards one another, as the religious community? I'm not presenting. I'm not questioning. Yeah. Okay, Ndabezita, you're welcome. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. I'm not posing a question now. I'm just something to reflect on, to say, as the religious leaders, from where you are you impacting the society towards being civil, towards being sitting down and have a dialogue? amongst other things. So it's just a question to say, if I'm from African religion, do you think that I can sit with a Christian and then we have a conversation or we have a dialogue? So that was being civil enough. Are we civil enough towards each other? So before I said a lot, and then maybe let me give this opportunity to President Sibisi. I know that, like what I said, the president is doing a lot of things in the community. So let me give it to him to say to President Sibisi. We are talking about religion and civility. So what is your view and your perspective on what, looking at what you are doing? I know that you are doing a lot from what you are doing from your organization. So where is this religion and this civility? Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Greetings to my panel, Dr. Mathole. I think your opening remarks have really given us the direction of this sitting today. Thank you very much. I think that before I answer your question, I would like just to clarify something. I am standing for Imboni Dr. Uzulezwe Khatebe under the banner of AAFIS. Yes, we do have someone sitting here representing Inkululeko Yesizwe, Umamthembi. For introduction side, I would like to say, who is AAFIS? AAFIS is an African association for indigenous spirituality, which was founded by Imboni Dr. Uzulezwe Khatebe. And just to name one of the objectives for AAFIS, of what does it stand for, is to give the expression to the African indigenous spirituality for the revival of African morals, spiritual values. For example, the respect and promoting the knowing system and principle of Ubuntu. I just want, before I go to the topic of today, the lessons from spirituality, interconnected of being. Dr. Motshekga, we are fortunate to be living in this era of Dr. Imboni Uzulezwe because we are connected. Ubuntu teaches that our humanity is tied to others. Spiritually, this reflects a belief or knowing the sacredness of the community and the idea that the divine, the sacred, is not just within the individual, but within the relationship. I like what you just said now about the work that you are doing. While we're talking about Ubuntu on this subject, I want just to remind everyone that there was a video which was displayed yesterday. And there is a question which was asked by religious leaders, where they've asked that how do we hold religious leaders accountable? How do you hold them accountable? So this is telling us about the leader who is leading, who is guided by spiritual. Imboni Dr. Uzulezwe. We saw the video yesterday where he empowering his followers in a form of introducing them into a profit-sharing business. This is what we call Ubuntu. Ubuntu is not just an individual. It's for you just to recognize other people and give them the opportunities. The subject of today, which is the theme religious and civil, which for my paper today was going to focus on African indigenous spirituality perspective. But I'm worried about time. I'm really being traumatized here. The faith and spiritual community have a duty to work together in mutual understanding to benefit the society, not benefiting them themselves. We must collaborate not only among ourselves, but also with civil society to share a message of cooperation, support, and unity. Our intention is to assist civil society by providing guidance in areas such as tolerance, mutual respect, and shared values. Through this collaboration, we aim to promote direction, discipline, and a deeper respect for one another. We take the dogma, we put on the side. Then we start move together under spirituality. Underlying concept, from the perspective of African indigenous spirituality, AIS, as revealed by the spiritual king, Dr. Uzulezwe Khatebe, civility is not merely about social ethic or adherence to state law. It is rooted in the spiritual principles and spiritual laws that govern orders, balance, and respect within the human society. AIS distinguishes itself from religion by transcending dogma and doctrine, operating instead through timeless spiritual principles that apply across all contexts. Religion, in contrast, is often bound to specific culture frameworks, historically, interpretations, and institutional rules, which can limit its scope and adaptability. I think I've run out of time. Okay. I will share this document because I think there is something very, very important for us to learn about African indigenous spirituality. Thank you very much.
Very important because, as I said in the opening, we all shout the slogan Ubuntu, Ubuntu, but we don't have the content. So he has provided us with the content. But because, as Professor Catherine said, we need to make recommendations to the G20. One of the recommendations that you must consider is that we cannot base our relationships on tolerance. If you tolerate something, it means you don't like that something. Yeah. We must embrace one another on the basis of what Dr. Sibisi, Dr. Mufamadi, and the advocate are saying, that we must see ourselves in others. If we do that, you cannot have a situation where Western countries send weapons of mass destruction to Israel for Israel to commit genocide in Palestine. They call themselves a chosen nation, but they kill women and children with weapons of mass destruction from America, from London, from France, from Germany. From there, the so-called chosen people of God, they destroy the churches, the mosques, they kill people who are in hospital, and they destroy schools. Then I come to the conclusion that God is dead in Israel, and Israel cannot be a holy land. The holy land is Africa and South Africa. And that's why 19 countries are gathered here. In future, tell your people, if they want to visit the Holy Land, they must come to South Africa and not go to Israel. Now, I want to that's why I say we believe in Karaism, African spirituality. Karaism, African spirituality, the philosophy of light. We are all children of light. Sivelanga, Wakalaka, and so on. Now I open the floor to your contributions. And just say your name and where you come from.
Do I have to stand? I am Dr. Ahmed Bugri. I come from the African Union. I think that one of the things that Dr. Mufamadi said is very apt, that colonization, the slave trade, and apartheid did an irreparable damage to us as Africans. And until we heal, and healing is spiritual, it's not physical. I think, and this is where the question is, the most difficult thing to decolonize is religion. Because religion was brought to us, Christianity, Islam, through conquering. Whatever was African was devilish, whatever is European, or whatever is from the Middle East, or whether it was from India, or from Asia, it was good, except anything African. And I think that this morning's discussion on education is so important. Who are we as Africans? And what is our philosophy? If you go to theological schools, they don't teach Ubuntu. They teach Western philosophy and Western theology. If you go to Quranic schools, they don't teach Ubuntu. They teach Islamic philosophy and Middle Eastern, Hindu, Buddhism, except the one thing, the African traditional worship and belief and systems. And I think that, Professor, you said it rightly. We are doing something in Africa, and yet, in my country as Ghana, you would have had someone to come and pour libation to the ancestors. You would have had His Excellency go in front because we are on his land to say a prayer and to welcome us. But we, the visitors, were welcoming him and not he welcoming us, because in the Western hemisphere, or whatever we've been taught in Christianity, is protocol. It's not us. And I think that this is the question that I want to pose to you. How do we heal? Because we need that healing. It is apparent. If we cry for reparations, the Jews had reparations when the Germans damaged them. But when Africans ask for reparations, we are told, oh no, let's forget it and live new again. The people in the world who have been harmed and humiliated the most are the Africans. Why? Because our philosophy of Ubuntu, in my view, teaches us to accept other people. We are not people who like conflict. So it was very easy for us, let's say in Ghana, to build a castle. On top of the slave dungeons were chapels on top. And underneath the chapels were dungeons that enslaved and chained women. Because for Christianity at that time, we were descendants of Ham. Apartheid was based on that philosophy. We are less. I have come to take your land because you have no value to me. So my question is, we are wounded people. We have rejected, even look at me, I'm dressed like a white man. We have rejected that which is African. How do we heal is the question. And I think that spiritual healing comes from the going back to our traditions. It does not reject who we are. I was a pastor for 20 years. It doesn't reject me as being a Christian, but how do I acknowledge and accept my ancestral past, that it is as important as my faith today?
There are people who say there are books, people of the book. They say the people of the book are the Christians, the Muslims, But the Africans had the oldest holy book. Even the word Bible comes from Heliobiblica, the Sun Book. But it's oppressed even today when we say we're free. And then that's why they won't teach Ubuntu. So I think you said a mouthful, and coming from the AU, we think the messages that we come, which are emphasized by ourselves, will be taken to the AU level. Let's just respect time so that everybody who is here should have the time to talk.
Okay, let me just find out who else wants to talk. Is Ndabe Zita? In that order, it will be 2. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then please 1 minute each if it's possible, so that the panel can be able to answer. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. You've said it mouthful, Prof, that it's in South Africa, indeed, we are the we're the people of peace. So we've demonstrated peace in hard situations. I should say is much respect and an upper hand to our president. You know, where you are in peace and you're finding. Oh, sorry. I should say is that in South Africa we are the. Okay. I should say is that we are the people of peace in South Africa. Look at everyone in the whole world. Every humankind in the whole world, they are in South Africa. And yet we are in the age of the African countries. We accommodate them and we're at peace. And, you know, as the imperial, as the indigenous, we are nowhere. All this decision and great things you are talking about it, we are nowhere. We're in interface, of faith interface. But you are only calling us when it's necessary. You don't respect us, you're taking our land, you're doing everything and so on. I applaud our President, Honorable His Excellency, President Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa. You know, America, what they did, they started by dropping our flag down. That is the war. But it was quiet. We're the men of peace, that shows that. Secondly, they took our embassy, they said they must go. Those level service agreement and diplomatic and so on within United Nations. I'm the African president for 54 countries in international associations of world peace. But what we're seeing, you know, now peace is the expensive commodity to find in humanity. That goes with religion. How much does it take us to coming in our senses to unite? An opportunity for one person, these wars that are happening, is an interest of one person. Capital. People must die. It's my way, it's my world. Their leadership is not that in Africa we don't have leaders. We've got leaders. But these leaders, the system, we're still living with 18th century's laws. You know, all of these level service agreements. But you are saying you're raising a child. A child is growing. When he's growing a child, you don't give him an opportunity to practice what he is. So I think, Prof, he has said it mouthful. Let's do something, our suggestions within G20. It's an opportunity to make an input. Let's stop complaining. Let's come up with solutions. Just imagine if we're failing to solve these problems in Africa, in our generation. And imagine Africa is growing. People are getting better. In Europe, they are old. And there will be World War III. Let's prevent it. Let's be realistic. Thank you very much. My final word, let's go with suggestion within G20. G20, this is our take. And we must be in mind that while we are building, we mustn't neglect the effort and the power and the asset that has been there. We need to build from there. We don't need to start from scratch. We need to build from there. Thank you very much.
The second person, number 2.
Good afternoon. I'm Sam Kize from the Brigham Young University Rising Generation Initiative. And before I start, I always say I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. And I'm representing the youth today. A question that I have for the panel is that often in the interfaith or in the religious sector, as the youth, we can sometimes still feel as youth as well as Africans that we still have to abide by the old rule of the young are seen and not heard, and that among our elders we should be respectful, look down, you cannot speak up. What are you doing to make sure that you relegate this practice and make sure that while we keep our respect for our elders, that we are also still given an opportunity to speak up and to also contribute, because the future we are building, which does contain Ubuntu, does need to have our voices. And happy International Youth Day today. Thank you.
Number 3 over there. Let's, we have just a second. We have requested, our time is up already. Because we have started late, we have requested some few more minutes. So please, if you can just keep it short, then I will appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the panel for drawing us a picture of Ubuntu across the board. My question has to do with a tradition that has been growing, the Golden Rule tradition, which is really across all religions, the idea that what I would like done to me, I should not do to others. Now, in my understanding, what you are articulating as Ubuntu is very similar, if not identical, to the tradition of the Golden Rule, which goes back into antiquity and transcends current religious frameworks. Are you working with Golden Rule work side by side with Ubuntu work, is my question.
Thank you very much. Number 4.
Thank you very much. My name is Thembi Tulwana. I am from Inkuleko Yesizwe, but emanating from the Revelation Spiritual Home. I just want to make a comment on what Dr. Jane Mufamadi said around spirituality. People in general are spiritual. Africans are indeed spiritual. Very spiritual in the sense that when we greet Amxhosa, we say, Molweni, Ninjani. I will respond, Sikhona siyaphila. Because we are actually embraced by our ancestors. I don't walk alone, I walk with my ancestry. We don't worship ancestors, we acknowledge who they are. And we follow spirituality as they had followed spirituality. I therefore need to say to Dr. Jane, I'm very thankful that you mentioned the fact that spirituality is innate in any African, and innate in general in any other person. So within the concept of Ubuntu, there lies spirituality. So if we want to heal, the healing is within us. However, we forgot that we have all the answers and allowed anything else that is not us to dictate how we go on in life. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. You know what is emanating from here is, no, you're going to ask this, she's the last one, so that you just wrap off. What is coming out from here is moving beyond religion to spirituality. That is what is coming out of here. And you cannot talk about Ubuntu if you're not talking about the spirituality. So we have the last person, so if you can. Thank you very much. Short and sweet. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Lindo Shamase. I'm from Freedom Park. Prof stole my question. I wanted to ask around religions and moving just beyond tolerance and more towards solidarity and actual clear actions towards building bridges. But then my head went back to the conversation that Prof. Jonathan Jansen had earlier around education and the debate around bringing in religion into schools. And my head thought, could then Ubuntu be the answer? And the practice that can then go into school without us necessarily indoctrinating certain religions and make sure that the young ones grow up with this togetherness. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The comment or replies, I would start from. Okay, let me start with Professor Mathole. Okay, because you were standing up. Okay. Let me start with Dr. Mufamadi, and then Reverend Dr. Nhlengetwa, advocate, and then Dr. Sibisi, then Professor Mathole will wrap off. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Mama, because you have taken part of my response and making my response easier. How do we heal? Let's re-educate ourselves. The current education system is a bit alienated to who we are. We have not integrated our own indigenous knowledge systems, because within indigenous knowledge systems comes these issues of Ubuntu and spirituality. We need to revisit that. We had our own indigenous schools, which to date are vilified, and they taught these values. I think let's go back to re-educate ourselves, not just the young ones, but ourselves who had lost who we are. The other aspects, of course, it's reparation and restitution. We must not shy away from that. I think sometimes we tend to be too apologetic and to sensitively navigate our ways. Let's be honest and frank. Our healing will come from truth-telling, because we have lots of saying in our languages. So you say a wrong thing. I don't know how you see the again translation to English, it's difficult. You say a wrong things in order so that the right thing can find a place to stay. That's a very crude and bad translation, by the way. But from my language, there is depth in that saying. So this is what we need to do towards this journey of healing. It's not a once-off project. It's a process. We need to relearn ourselves, and we need to include our younger generation to do that. Madiba says that to be free is not merely to cast off one's chain, but to live in a manner that respects and enhances the freedom of others. That is Ubuntu in action, the essence of understanding that while you are free, unless your brother and a sister is not free, then you are not completely free. That essence of solidarity, responsibility, and accountability. The silence within the faith-based communities for fear of offending politicians, making faith subservient to politics, whereas faith should be above politics. I think it's one thing that the faith communities must begin to bravely address. Then a lot of these wars and conflicts will be mitigated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next, okay, thank you so very much. The next person that I'm going to allow to speak is Advocate Reverend Nhlengetwa. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Now, I just want to go to the core of our problem right now with the corruption that is happening, which we addressed yesterday, and how the principle of Ubuntu can address corruption. I want to start off by saying we have, as Africans, our spirituality is interconnected with nature. Nature is part of our spirit. Nature is our teacher. And the resources of nature are not given to one individual. The resources of nature are given to all of us. And the premise on which the tender system is done is on individualism. The tender system is a source of corruption. People, billions and billions are stolen that are supposed to feed children because it's based on individualism. The tender system has to be replaced by community cooperatives. So we move from individualism of greed to community cooperatives. Our young people coming to the youth, our young people have to be trained. If there's a tender on building a road or a tender of electrifying, our young people have to be trained on how to build roads. Our young people have to be trained on electricity and whatever is needed in that tender. And then the tender and community cooperatives have to be formed. Community cooperatives have to be formed to actually deliver those tenders instead of one individual stealing millions that they will never use for the rest of their lives. That's how the first notion. And then secondly, seeing the worth. Masibulisana sithi sawubona. And when Mauti Sawubona, we talked about the greeting. Now I'm taking Usawubona in our Zulu. Mauti Sawubona is Nyakubona. I see your worth. I see who you are. And when I respect my humanity, I respect the humanity of others. I see your worth, and your worth is intertwined to my worth. And so, now the worth and all these solutions that we're talking about is based on deficiency. We look at, the vulnerable as deficient. And when you're looking at a person as deficient, you are seeing their worth as less than yourself. So what I'm saying here today is, instead of starting from a starting point of deficiency, let us start from a starting point of every individual has got worth and every individual can contribute, has got a gift. If I have to use the business language, let it be asset-based. Every person is a unique individual endowed with gifts that can help into the community. So our starting point in empowerment shouldn't be based on deficiency of communities, but on what communities have within themselves that they can build their worth. And lastly, on the youth, ngesiZulu sithi kuhlonishanwa kabili. Now, kuhlonishanwa kabili Ubuntu is you respect the youth just as we respect the elder. So there is nothing like, it's not it's accessing into ukuthi children should be hate. The young learn from the older generation, and by the same token, the older generation learn from the young. So that is one of the, that is on youth development that I can bring. And please, the generations, the older generations have got wisdom, they've got experience. And youth, do not waste your energy on youth. There's a saying that youth energy is spoiled by youth itself. So we can learn from one another. Thank you.
Thank you very much. President Sibisi?
Thank you very much. I just want to highlight on the side of the youth. Youth is very, very important, because what we have learned along the way is that our African indigenous spirituality was suppressed. So what are we doing about it now to make sure that it does not get suppressed again? So it's going to be like I'm repeating myself like a broken record. We have seen the video yesterday of the work that is being done by Imboni Dr. Uzulezwe. He also have a youth academy. He actually have trained or is training the young people, because he identify the biggest problem that we have in Africa, leaderships. So he decided that let us train these young kids while they are young in order for us to find a solution for Africa. Africa is really short of leaders. So under African indigenous spirituality, we're building while they are young. The objective of that is to make sure that we don't go through, or they don't go through what we went through. Now we are enlightened, so we need to make sure that the next generation is far better than us. Now we're talking about the 7th generation, which will be the free generation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so very much. We're no longer taking questions. I think now we want to sum up or wrap off. I understand, Madam, you are taking notes. Our scribe, isn't it? Okay, thank you so very much. Somebody was just taking note of everything that we were talking about. And then Bishop Lupuana said that he's going to send the comments. So thank you very much, Bishop Lupuana and Bishop Moerane. Then we are open to that. Then if you can give us your inputs because of the time and the like. So maybe let me hand over to... Pardon? So let me hand over to Professor Mathole here. Just a little, just that we started late, just give him some few minutes so that he can just wrap up. Thank you.
I think as co-facilitator, I must also help us to come with recommendations. We have agreed that we cannot tolerate one another. It's not about tolerance, it's about helping one another. The lady from Freedom Park said it's solidarity. And you can't go to school to introduce religions. There are too many. Let's look at something that brings all the religions together and take it to the schools, and that is Ubuntu. So Ubuntu must be introduced in schools, not religions, because religions are divisive. Now, we also had this gentleman here, what's her name, sir? He said something very profound. To say Ubuntu is not an exclusively African thing. In antiquity, the Germans spoke about Menschenwürde. The Afrikaners who brought the apartheid, they talk about Menselijkheid, but they don't practice it. So it means if we use Ubuntu, whether you are Asian, European, we will all have something in common. It is that something in common that we must take into the schools. And also, there's a question of greetings, which was raised here, that no one is alone. I had a car accident, and then I survived. When I went to pay libation, an ancestral spirit spoke through another woman and said, we saved you because we still want to use you. So which means in the car that I was driving, an ancestor of mine was with me in the car, and he saved me to do some work. So therefore, I was very disappointed in this conference, because some people from the local organizing committee, some of them are even professors of religion, they said Karaism, they said African spirituality must not be allowed to pray because it's pagan. To be called a pagan in your own country by your fellow men who say they are professors of religion, then you can see how dangerous religion is. Therefore, to save religion, we must all go back to spirituality and pour libation. Now, the other thing that we cannot keep quiet about, this conference will not have done its job unless there is a resolution to condemn genocide in Palestine. Because people who have Ubuntu, they cannot kill women and children, they cannot destroy churches and destroy schools and hospitals. There's no Ubuntu there in Israel. That's why the Holy Land is South Africa and Africa. Everybody must come here. And now, you look at what is happening in the Sudan. The word Sudan means Bil al-Sudan, the land of black people. That is the ancient Ethiopia. The Arabs came, they took over the Sudan, and today our people are running to Mali and everywhere because the Arabs are fighting for amongst themselves for a land that belongs to African people. Now, where should Africans go on this earth? The youth. We have established Masubazela, Kara Young Pioneers. We are going to have branches in all universities. We are going to teach our children, our youth in the universities, that transcend these political parties. These political parties today, it is hungry people who want to be in parliament so that they can have something to eat. So the politics on our campuses is dangerous, and it takes away the time of our children to study. So children, the youth, must go back to Ubuntu, will help you with the Karayang pioneers. The golden rule is Ubuntu in action. So we must embrace the golden rule as Ubuntu in action. Initiation schools, they are being condemned, but they bring madrasas, Hindu schools, Christian schools, but when we have our initiations, they say it's pagan. How do you come from outside Africa and tell the Africans what is right and what is wrong when Africa is actually the birthplace of humanity? They say we must not worship ancestors. But in every church they say the God of Abraham, Isaac, and so on. Who are these Abraham and Isaac? Are they not ancestors of other people? Why should we call the ancestors of Europeans and not call our own ancestors? That's cheating us in broad daylight, and that must stop. And then another thing is that Ubuntu must be the central tenet of interfaith. Interfaith must be at the heart of Ubuntu. Otherwise, we don't need interfaith because it divides us into different things. Right now, people are relying on solar power because the sun is God. Light and life comes from the sun. If you don't have electricity, the sun will give you. During COVID, people had breathing problems, but you had to supply oxygen for them to live. Oxygen comes from the sun. Water comes from the sun. Life of plants and animals comes from the sun. Why are Africans condemned for being sun worshippers when there's no life on earth without the light? Let me conclude by saying that one thing is that religion is dogma, it's not necessarily the truth. I will tell you why. The name of the sun in ancient Ethiopian Egypt is Yahweh or Jah. The Rastafarians say Jah is God. Jah is the sun. Now from the word Yahweh and Jah, you have the word Jehovah, which means Jehovah is the sun. Allah, Al-Ra, is the sun. Now who is there who says Judaism is separate from that? So lastly, because this is a serious matter, because people are dying because of misunderstanding. So we have to explain these things. The word Christ is written XP acte. In Greek is XP ichtoch, is pronounced Christ. And it is symbolized by XPIHS, which means that Christianity comes from Africa. It was distorted in Israel and Egypt. So when people want to be true Christians, they must come back to the African roots. We are not against Christianity, we are not against Islam, but we are saying those religions come from the belly of Africa, and nobody will ever understand them before they understand Africa. That's all we're saying. We're not fighting. We're saying let's go back to the roots, and then we'll understand who we are as human beings, not as Asians, as Europeans, as Red Indians, because we are all just human beings. Ribato.
Okay, thank you so very much for your patience, for your understanding, and everything else. I think we have. I don't know if maybe we still have we need comment from them or recommendations from them, or. But in the meantime, let me take this opportunity to thank everybody who attended this and for your patience, because we know that we stretched you. So thank you so very much for contributing. This is IF20. This G20 Interfaith Forum might not come in our lifetime, to be honest with you. So your inputs and everything, we really appreciate it, because it's going to be part and parcel of the recommendations that will be sent to the bigger summit in November. But I'm repeating it, for this IF20 to come to South Africa, I don't think it will come in our lifetime. So this opportunity that we had, now I don't take it for granted. So we are really blessed to be here. And then before I close, let me just give 30 seconds to Our Lady just to say something, and then from there, we forgot to pray, and then it means that we will pray in our hearts as we are moving out. But for now, let me give her 30 seconds to just say something. Thank you.
The image, thank you so much. The image that came to me, that Ubuntu is the roots, and all the religion are the branches. So everyone has to, and the seed of that tree is God. So in that way, there is no separation. We all come from the basis. But what's looking now, when the branch, you lie the tree down, the branch looks like its own tree. And so instead of becoming branch managers, they think that they have their own connection. And that's where the religions are going wrong, because they've divided themselves from the actual source, which is God. So I really feel that I'm very happy that we're removing religion and we're bringing spirituality, because this is the only way we can eradicate body consciousness and reinstate soul consciousness.
That is very profound. So, you know, whatever that we transpire today, happens today, is not in vain. Our scribe is there. She has written everything, and we're going to submit that to the bigger forum, and then our input is noted. So let me give over to Prof.
Sorry to bore you. I did a thick document, and we requested that you give your contacts. We'll send you that document. And what we also want to request is that you allow the panelists to draft some resolutions, and then we will also circulate them amongst you from that list, so that this consensus that we have reached, which the lady there brilliantly summarized, should go forward. Because she says there is God. We all believe in God. We say Ubuntu comes from God. Religions are the branches of Ubuntu. So which means we have a unifying formula. And then we must move with that formula. And the youth, we are coming for you with that vision that was nicely summarized. So you are not lost.
Thank you very much. In short, what is time to say, Corey? Let's leave from this forum. Let's leave our contacts, so that all the people that are still going to give us the input, then we can able to circulate the information to all of us. Because remember, there is life after IF20. So when this IF20 is done and gone, so where to from here? So, but if we can have something wherein we can still share information, I think it will take us forward. So that's basically that we're saying to say, let's leave our contacts so that all the information that is going to be submitted, because like what I said, Bishop Lupone is still going to give me information, Bishop Moerane is still going to give me information. That information, when it comes, we don't sit with that information because it's not going to do anything. But if we share, then there will be action afterwards. Good people, but there's no contact on the register. There's no contact, isn't it? Okay. The two lists. Here. Yeah, maybe quickly, if we can just have, we've got a lot of pens and books, eh? Where is it? Where?
The second one has been passed around the phone.
Where is it? You are going, where's the list? With the phone numbers. Where is it? The secretary list with the phone numbers. Where is it? Oh, okay. No, that's good. No, it's fine. No, we are good. Okay, just make sure that you, before you leave, you just give us your contacts. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity once more to thank you. And then all the inputs are very valuable. And let's communicate further and ensure that we implement some of the things that we spoke here. It doesn't become a talk show, but we take it forward. So thank you so very much and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.